Good evening. Welcome to the Public Works Committee meeting of Sawyer County. Ask the clerk to call a roll, please.
Ron Kinsley.
Here.
Ed Peters.
Here.
Mark Helwig.
Here.
Chris Rusk. Brian Bissonette.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Let the record indicate we have a quorum. Please rise and pledge allegiance. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Number 4, certification compliance open meeting laws.
This meeting has been noticed to the public and news media as required by section 19.84 of the Wisconsin statutes.
Thank you. Number 5 is the meeting agenda. The agenda is set. Number 6 is public comment. I have 2 people filled out papers for public comment. We'll start with Miss Linda Zilmer, please. Please state your name and your address.
Linda Zolmer, resident of the Village of Birchwood and Edgewater property owner. And my public comment tonight is about the ordinance.
Thank you. The ordinance development and fees for permits. And I'm really happy to see this come forward. And I appreciate the process of looking at the model ordinances and that giving the committee and the public the chance to look at this. However, in looking at the drafts, my public comment is to recommend that this go back to administration to look at formatting to go into the Muni Code of Ordinances to make future referencing and using the ordinance more consistent with other items that may be put under the Road and Bridges Chapter 20, moving fees, fines, and penalties to the county's schedule of fee, fines, and penalties so they're not buried in the text. To fill in, there are a lot of blanks that are not filled in. One example I sent to you, Mr. Chair, today and the Highway Commissioner was it references the Sawyer County Bike Plan, which the county does not have. So there's a lot of things that I think it would be more efficient for the county to clean up before it goes for legal review. And one of the reasons I really want to be insistent about taking a detailed look at it within the county first is what's been going on with the tens of thousands of fees this county has been paying for zoning ordinance amendments. All those zoning ordinances at one time were a model. They got adopted, they got amended and changed, and there's a great inconsistency. And right now it's been over a year that the county has been paying legal fees to go through draft after draft of trying to define just a few terms like dwellings and multi-dwelling. And I don't want to see that repeated here. This committee has got a really good start. Your commissioner did a good job, but I think the county should spend more time on it before it goes forward to county board. And a lot of it, I would hope you would do internally and maybe with some public comment. Thank you.
Thank you. Miss Elizabeth Crawford, please. State your name and your address, please.
Elizabeth Crawford, 10757N Namakagon Lane, Hayward, Wisconsin. I have 2 questions. When will the airport, this has to do with the last meeting that we had, be sending out the announcements for the March meeting about the expansion? And to whom will it be sent? In other words, what neighborhoods?
Perhaps when we get to the airport report, we can answer that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Then is there anybody else out there virtual? And still no Mr. Russ? Okay, thank you. Number 7, consider approval of the minutes of the previous meeting of January 10th. Is there any changes or corrections?
Make a motion to approve the January 10th Public Works. I'll second it.
Motion by Mr. Helwig, second by Mr. Peters to approve the minutes as presented. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Number 8, Maintenance Department report. Mr. Hagberg put together a report for us. If you had time to review it, have any questions regarding it? If not, we'll move forward. Did you have a question? No. Move on to number 9, Sawyer County Airport Report. Mr. Leslie?
Good evening, everybody. Ooh, that's loud. First thing I'd like to detail out that is not in my report is just yesterday I finished up working with Lynn and Brian from Land Records. Brian identified a map for us. We did a 500-foot buffer outside of airport property, identifying every parcel adjacent to airport property. We came up with a list of 70 people, and we put the mailers in today. Lynn helped with printing and envelopes, and we got them all sent off. So 70 folks around the airport are going to get the invite tomorrow. Boy, some of them went a long ways away. Texas, Florida. Some of those mailers went all over the place. It was
Okay.
interesting.
You know off the top of your head if Miss Crawford from Nabogogin Lane.
Oh, yeah. Yep. So those will all be out. It is up on the website now, the flyer for the 6th, meeting of the 6th. So I know Andy's on virtual. We talked for about 35 minutes on the phone today, touching base on everything at the airport. As always, lots of different things going on. Summarizing our report, obviously it's been no snow. Good thing, we don't have to worry about plowing the runway. It helps our budget, but operationally, it's a lot of cancellations. We haven't seen the volumes of traffic coming in and out that we usually do. People come here to their cabins to enjoy the outdoors, and there's not much to do right now. So we definitely have seen a decrease. There's a couple notable things in there. Our runway project is moving forward. All the funding is for that on the state and federal level is all allocated. We should be in good shape on that. I was talking with Mike about making sure that we're budgeting for it in our CIP, which we've got a plan for that moving forward. I put the schedule on there just so it's here, so people know where we're at on that project. Again, that runway project, our runways will be 25 years old when this hits. It needs to be redone. So when this is just a rehabilitation, it's going to get us at least 10 years more on the runway. For all intents and purposes, it should last 20, but we'll see what the master plan says when it gets done. But we won't have to worry about the runway for 10 years. There's a schedule on there of when everything's going to be happening. I've been talking with John a lot. They get a new FECON head for the skidster. And as of right now, the airport's probably in the best shape it's ever been in my memory, in reference to brushing, and that's before John even came out. So we're hoping to work with Highway, and Andy's got us a pretty aggressive goal of getting the whole airport done, which obviously that's never happened before either. So we'll see how that goes. Right now it sounds like that they might have time to fit us in. An operator or two might be willing to take the job. So that'll be a new step for us. There's 500 acres at airport to try to maintain. It's been a struggle over the years, and then the winters don't, like last winter we did no brushing. So I talked with Andy, putting the airport expenditures in there. I guess Mark and Ron, I'm sure that you remember we used to talk about that a lot more. We certainly have made leaps and strides compared to what it was just 5 years ago. So I'm proud of it. I think that we're doing a really good job on that. And moving forward, I don't see any major increases. The CIP is, I kind of categorize that separately in my mind, at least, about the annual expenditures at the airport, because it's kind of like the highway roads and whatnot too. I mean, it needs to happen. The runway needs to be there. It needs to be safe. So with that, everything's going well at the airport. No issues. Like I said, I've been talking with Andy quite a bit too. We keep our communication up. So I'm not sure if he has anything to add.
No, I don't have anything to add. I think what you've said and what's in the report covers it all.
So any
Andy,
questions?
question. We had talked briefly about what room we're gonna have the meeting in. Have you had a chance to check on that?
Yeah, we have the boardroom reserved for the public information workshop that evening. The PAC meeting in the afternoon will be in the courthouse, but we don't have a room decided at this point.
Thank you. For the audience, Andy is virtual tonight. I should have told you at the beginning of the meeting. Thank you.
Anything else from me? Thank you, everybody. Enjoy your evening.
Thank you. Number 10, Highway Commissioners Report.
Thank you. The crews are still continuing brushing on 27 South. We're just about finished up there. We'll be moving up to 27 North to do some brushing out there. With this warm weather, we've been patching on what we can on state and county. Our winter maintenance budget's still looking good. I mean, we haven't had a lot of snow events. My only concern is we still do have a lot of salt to take. We're still looking at 2,100 tons coming into our county sheds, which are almost full as of now. So we're looking for places to store that. We might have to put some in our state sheds, keep track of it, move it out as we use it. We're looking at purchasing a new skid steer, which we actually have here now, with a brand new Fecon mulching head that's going to be used on state, county, and the airport now. Fecon head should be here next week. I believe that comes in next week. So Sawyer County only has one frost tube in our county. We kind of split the one with Russ County on F South. So we decided last week with the weather being good, we installed 2 new frost tubes, one at 63 and 00, and then one down at 70 and GG. So that's going to be a good thing for the county, so we can kind of cover the whole county instead of just one little area down by Midway.
What is the frost?
Frost tube goes in the ground and measures the frost, freezes as the frost goes down. Like currently, we have the one at Midway, and we're down about a foot of frost right now, and there's 30 inches of thaw, a foot down from the top of thaw, and we still got about 30 inches of frost in our road down in Midway. So,
Except for on Highway K, it's down to 0, isn't it?
yeah, Highway K is at 0. We do have work from the state this year, going all the way from Highway 40 to Washburn County line, State Highway 40. We're replacing all the signage for the state along that route this summer. There was a public meeting down at Radisson Town Hall last Thursday that I went to, along with Ron was there too. Just reconstruction of a little stretch at Elms Bottom where it floods every year. So they're doing hydrology tests right now. We'll learn more on that once those come back. The 6-foot to 20-foot bridge program inventory phase, still a lot of discussion. I've sent to the towns a form. They need to either decide if they're going to do their own inventory or have the county do it or subcontract it out, which I think is due back to me April 15th. There's actually a webinar this Friday from 9 to 10:30 that's going to tell us how to do the inventory, how to fill out the forms. I'm going to learn a lot more. There's still a lot of open ends on that. We hired a new bridge contractor to complete the county bridge inspections. So KBIS will be doing our new bridge inspections throughout the county. Core, we found out recently that no longer change management and retirees are not going to be doing bridge inspections anymore. Still waiting to hear on the STP rule application for the roundabout. That should sometime in February should be able to hear. And then we also still have one employee on light duty, which he should be off here in the next couple of weeks. Also been working with LCO with Jordan and Jason out at LCO on the Safe Streets for All grant that they received through Sawyer, Washburn, and Russ County. And what they're going to do is we picked, I remember what it was, Coleman Engineering to come in and do a comprehensive safety plan for our county, point out all the safety areas in our county where we have issues. And then we'll build from there. It opens us up to a bunch of different funding. And we'll build a plan there to make our county safer. So that's something that's coming out. We have one plow truck coming in March 1st, new one that we ordered 2 years ago. It's finally going to be here March 1st. Other than that, I got chainsaw safety class scheduled for the 26th in Washburn. And then also I have Dustin from Thompson from Russ County coming in and starting to do some of our safety training. So that's a good thing for the county. And the ARIP is out now. It came out yesterday. It's kind of like the LRIP program, but it's more for building the roads up for farm purposes and stuff like that. So we're gonna be looking at projects within the county to apply for that. So,
Or do the towns apply for that?
no, this is county. Yep. Otherwise, that is all I have right now. Thank you. Any questions?
Let's go to letter B, resolution to allow work to be completed by towns, discussion and possible action.
Mr. Chair, item B is actually rolled in with parts of item C.
That's what I
could
was
just-
thinking, yeah. Thank you, Andy.
Okay,
Go ahead.
if you want, I can just go ahead and start explaining what we have there.
Yes, please, go
So
ahead.
it's been in the works for quite a few months here. I think going about putting this all together has made it a little more efficient because what you have there, just a brief overview, is there's an ordinance. There's actually two ordinances. Article 3, which is highway access control, which covers all of the permits, like the right-of-way permit, the driveway permit, the utility permits, the wood permit, and the hauling permit. The ordinance itself establishes the authority of the county, or actually the commissioner, with the committee to issue these permits. And you send the permits, penalties, fees, that type of thing. And then below the ordinance, or in conjunction with the ordinance, are the policies that are in place. So attached there, you'll see some of the attachments are the access control policy, which covers, again, all the permits, like the driveway permit, the right-of-way permit, that type of thing. And then there's also we're going to use the County Highway Association's utility guide to issue those permits. And so there's a policy that is not part of the ordinance, but is referenced in the ordinance for how these permits are granted, how the commissioner goes about granting the permits. And then he sets his own criteria for permit forms, applications, etc. And that's all outlined in the ordinance. Article 4 of the ordinance goes to the ability of the highway department to do work for municipalities. And so in there again, we allow that. And then we did attach as attachment number 3, the highway service agreement that the highway department would enter into with municipalities who were doing work for it. And then the last resolution, I apologize, I noted some things are duplicated in the agenda, but there's a separate resolution for the highway permit fees. They are not embedded in the ordinance or in the policy. They're actually a separate resolution, and the resolution updates the county fee schedule to show what those permit fees are for each of those permits. So the idea is that, we get through the ordinance, get that adopted. That goes to the board for approval. That kicks off then putting in place the policies and the permit applications for the permits to be issued. And that policy and permit process is more between the commissioner and the committee. Gives the commissioner authority to do that. So the key pieces are the ordinance, and then the two resolutions. The one resolution to adopt the ordinance, and the other resolution is to establish the permit fees. So that's the overview. I don't know how much in detail you want me to walk through the ordinance with you, or if you've had a chance to review it. I should point out the ordinance, we worked with council to put together the ordinance and fine tune the policies. The ordinance is essentially a kind of a model ordinance that's used from other counties to grant the authority of the department to establish policy for these permit purposes.
So
Questions,
question,
comments?
yeah, I have a question. So number 1 is the ordinance, highway access control.
Yep.
Should we take that individually and do
Yes.
each one individually, I believe?
Yeah, I would do the resolution, the highway access control. There's 2 articles, Articles 3 and 4. That'd be one
Yes.
item along with the ordinance for highway access control. Those go together.
Okay,
The resolution would be to send the to approve the ordinance. And then the other resolution should be separate, and that's the permit fees for this.
Okay. Questions? Confusion? Thoughts, comments? So we start with the ordinance of the highway access control. Okay. You have questions just regarding that? What we're looking for is to approve that. And it was to move to full county board, but it was a good question brought up. And I'm gonna ask Andy to take time before we take it to the full board to see if it's ready to go into the ordinance books, and is anything that'll have to be straightened out before it gets there. So what's the wishes of the committee?
So are you saying, hold off on proving it?
No.
Be sure to use your mics.
No, I'm not saying hold on. I'm saying if you're ready to approve it, we can approve it. But before it would go to the full board, I want Andy to check to make sure that he's comfortable with the way we have it to go into the ordinance book.
Gotcha.
And if we have to me, that could be delayed 1 month before it goes to the full board, if need be. That's where I'm at.
John, thanks.
Yeah, I can and will check that. The blanks in the ordinance are the effective date, so that would, something that would be established once the ordinance is adopted, when it would be effective. And then beyond that, as far as cross-referencing, once we turn these over to Municode, that's part of their job, to make sure any cross-references with other parts of our county ordinance are correct.
Thank you for clearing that up.
So,
Are you comfortable with what we have?
yeah, well,
It appears to cover all of the aspects that we've been talking about for the past year or so, it seems. And seems to me to be well organized. So I would make a motion to approve the ordinance for highway access control. Do we need the number? 111259?
It doesn't hurt anything, yes.
I'll second that.
We have a motion by Mr. Peters to approve the ordinance. We have a second by Mr. Howie. Is there any other discussion? Yes. Please.
Well, question going back to your comment, I mean, the motion is made is basically approving it, not having to go to Andy.
But I think he just clarified that when we have a company that puts together ordinances, and it's up to their job to get it in there correctly for us. That's the way I understood it.
Okay.
That's,
We get the information together and they format it.
Yeah.
Is that?
That's right.
Correct.
So if I may, the motion and the second should be to approve and forward to the full board. If I may.
Mr. Chair, to
Yes,
clarify too, it might be easier to take a vote on there's a resolution approving highway ordinances,
yes,
which effectively is approving the ordinance and to send it to county board for approval. There is a resolution attached to the ordinance. Like it's the second item on the
okay,
number 2 under C.
so instead of just approving the ordinance, we should be approving the resolution. Is that what you're saying?
Correct.
I stand corrected. Once again in my life. So, but we do have the ordinance for the motion in the second, so if you guys want to withdraw your motion for the ordinance, then we can make a motion to approve the resolution because of my error.
I will withdraw the motion for approval of the ordinance.
Thank you. Just a reminder, use your lights, please. So we have withdrawn the motion for the ordinance, we need to make a motion to approve the resolution. Separate.
This is I'll make a motion to approve the resolution approving highway ordinances.
I believe that's what.
And do that one first and then okay. And being sent to the board.
And I will second approving that resolution.
We have a motion by Mr. Howard, second by Mr. Peters to approve the highway resolution. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Andy. You want to move us forward, please?
Yeah, the other resolution for you to consider then would be the establishing of highway permit fees. I'll let Lynn slide to that one. So this, of course, would come second after if the board were to adopt the first resolution. This resolution would establish the permit fees for each of those, and then, as it says in the resolution, would update the county fee book with these fees.
Which is number 10.
Yeah, if you want to scroll down a little bit, then is it possible? There's the actual fees. I worked with the commissioner. He's recommended this fee structure based on what other counties are charging.
I will make the motion to approve the resolution establishing the highway permit fees.
I'll make a second on that.
And move it to the full board.
And move that to the full board.
I'll second that motion.
Motion by Mr. Peters, second by Mr. Howard to approve the resolution establishing highway fees and move it to the full board. Any other discussion? If not, all in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. That covers all that, Andy?
That does cover all of that.
Thank you. We
So
have-
there's nothing for the first ordinance then at this point?
The ordinance was part of the resolution, first resolution.
I thought we took that out.
Question then?
I thought we took that out, so it should go back to being both of them then in the first motion?
I understand the resolution takes care of the ordinance.
Correct.
So we don't need anything included about the ordinance then in these motions?
Nope, because in that resolution, it referenced the
Okay.
ordinance.
Perfect.
John thought we'd have a hard time getting through that. Andy, you want to touch on letter D a little bit?
Sure.
Or you want John to start?
Well, I'll start. And then John, there's actually two separate issues that we've been discussing. First one, we had it just on the agenda as a seasonal road ban. So we did have some communication. Actually, before we realized that the road bans are going to go on as early as they did, from a garbage contractor asking about road bans this year, because there was some discussion between the LCO and the contractor about the same resolution that the LCO passed last year regarding road bans and them having the authority to make decisions on roads within the reservation was coming up again. So we've been working through that. I believe the LCO has passed another resolution, or they were in the process of one this year. Something similar, giving them authority to make decisions on the road ban within the reservation boundaries on town and county roads. I've seen a draft of the resolution. I have not seen the adopted one, so I can't speak much further on that. Just wanted to let the committee that we've been discussing that, the commissioner and not sure if it's Brian or Jason have been communicating on how that might play out. So we've been working through that. And now subsequent to that, there's a separate issue with having access to the LCO Health Center that's under construction to be able to get loads in or out as part of that construction. And that's where I'll turn it over to the commissioner to talk about his communication with them.
Thank you.
Yeah, so we were talking about this last week. Brian and I have been going back and forth along with LCO and Jason on what we can do to keep this project moving forward and everything. We've looked at a couple different options, which Brian, we couldn't make work, could we? So Brian and I talked again on Friday and came up with a solution for this section of road that LCO would cover any road repair damages if there would happen to be any during this time when the road bans are on. So he had drafted a letter and sent to me and came to agreement. So I just wanted to bring this to you guys and just for the information on what we had come up with.
Right, Attorney Lane.
So I can just comment on that a little bit.
Yes, please.
Basically, the agreement also is we're gonna follow is basically this exact same permit the county issues. The only exception is on tribal letterhead. Any permits that are issued, we follow the same restrictions. The only, and any issue, permit that we issue, and I've assigned that to Jason Weaver to take care of because he's our roads director. John is to be copied on it, so he can keep that for his file, so.
And the main thing is because they're building the health center down there, and that's the big thing, so that construction of the health center can keep moving forward.
Right, so this really came as a result of the health center. When the road bans came on, as you guys are probably aware, we got a major project going there. And so we didn't have any good options. We thought we had an option where we could come off of County Road B, but then the service road that we would have to put in initially was about 40,000. Well, then we realized that we actually have a community sewer line there, which for the majority of that, they weren't too worried about it because it's pretty deep, but there are two areas where they're not so deep. And so the other option probably would have ran close to $150,000 to put a new road in. So we worked with John and came up with a good resolution. So that's barring he doesn't send the tribe a huge repair bill for.
Well, hopefully the road,
$150,000 road might look good.
hopefully the road will hold up, and it's not too bad. It's a pretty good road right through there anyway. It's not a real long distance, so hopefully everything will work out good.
Yeah, so the tribe did want me to thank you while they put in the waters.
Yep.
A lot of positive comments about people.
Turn your light back
So
on. Good, that's good to have positive feedback.
And I just wanted to let everybody know, we have moved the sign, the Wayland sign down past, it's just before, I believe, Gittigan Road. Right now.
Yeah.
So.
Just to make sure the committee's aware of the road bans went on quickly because of the way the weather was. Things happened faster than we anticipated. Andy, don't know if we're still asking to have a meeting with LCO regarding the road bans. Maybe that just fell by the wayside because it went so fast. I'm not sure.
Yeah, it came on fast, and the people that we were going to meet with are not available for a couple of weeks. So we had some good communication. And like Brian said, they are going to be issuing their own hauling permits, like one-time transactional permits, but it will be mirroring the county process and county weight restrictions. So it seemed to be a little less urgency once we learned more of the details. But we are talking about having a meeting in a few weeks.
And Brian, if I may, every time you give one out, you send a copy to the highway commissioner so he's aware of it.
one of the instructions.
Thank you. Anything else at the highway?
That's it. I should have touched on the road bans. We're still working with the other counties right now, depending on weather. We get a lot of phone calls in, are the road bans coming off? Are they going back on? Is there options of opening the roads up from midnight till 10 AM, during these colder temps? So we're discussing a lot of this with surrounding counties to see what we can do. So all depends on the weather. It looks like we're gonna be getting some colder days. We'll keep pulling those frost tubes and working with the surrounding counties and trying to get the feel of what's there.
So
What kind of length of time do you anticipate in order to be able to get the roads to firm up enough to?
Well,
do that?
just by looking, a consecutive 5 days below 32 degrees, that ground should start to freeze again. So that was one of the options which we discussed, and we're gonna discuss more in our commissioners meeting here coming up, of what we can do, with the road bans.
And we all know that the weather forecast that predicts isn't always what we get. All right, nothing else on roads? Number 11, courthouse remodel update, ribbon cutting. First, do a little bit of update on Mr. Hagberg. Andy, you want to touch on this, about the heating system?
If you've talked to Tim this week, you might have a better update. But they were to wire in some fans. I have not heard if that was completed yet.
I believe I understood from him that the system is up and working now, where they had some problems and they finally got worked through them, and it's done. And the flooring's done, I believe.
Yes, the flooring's done. That was done a couple weeks ago. And then, the HVAC was the other item that they had to wire in, put some fans on some day and night controls, which will get us to even pressure, which lets us regulate the system. So it sounds like that's been completed as well. And then the other item was the audiovisual work, and I believe that is all completed now as well. So we've already wound down some of the payouts to the contractor. So I expect actually within the next week, we should have the final number on the project and see where we're at. And then as far as that was all the punch list items are complete. And then the ribbon cutting, I don't have a final date yet, but we're zeroing in on either May 9th or 16th in hopes of tying it in with the county board meeting or the other committee date, and making sure that we don't want the court to be operating. So we're hoping that the afternoon, one of those days, will work out with the court schedule, as well as, the Chamber of Commerce to do the ribbon cutting. So that's where we're at with getting that date finalized.
How much do you have put together with that? Whether it be like a tour, if a group of people wanted to take a tour of the building, someone would be available to. Have you got that
Yeah.
far? Have you got that far yet, maybe?
That's the plan, is to have it be like an open house with tours available. The only thing we have not, definitely the court rooms will be open for tours. We're still talking about how much of the secure area of the building we want the tours to be done of.
Okay. Any questions regarding the number 11? Number 12, future agenda items. Like to keep posted with that roundabout because that's pretty important. And there's been a lot of talk about ATV and UTVs. And our highway commissioner is communicating with other counties and he's hearing what they're saying. And I like our resolution ordinance that we put together that the towns have to approve it first. And I know that we're getting close to our 1 year anniversary with that, but I really don't want to veer away from that part of it. So it's something to think about, and it's going to be coming up in the future. And in the month of May, which is only a couple months away, is going to be the renewal of the existing trails. And I'm sure that they potentially may be bringing more trails to us at that time, but I haven't heard anything, but it's coming. Anybody else have anything that they would like on the agenda or in the future? Mr. Alvarado, do you have anything you want on the Public Works agenda?
No, I don't have anything specific.
Thank you. Number 13, correspondence, reports, conferences. Thank you for your valuable time. Meeting adjourned.